The pounding on my door cuts through the darkness like a scream. My eyes snap open and I'm sitting straight up in bed before my brain even catches up. The clock reads 5 a.m. exactly. 3 more heavy knocks follow, and my stomach drops. Nobody shows up at this hour with good news. I throw off my blanket and my feet hit the cold floor. My heart is racing so fast I can feel it in my ears. I live alone in a small apartment in Seattle, just me and the quiet. After my breakup 3 years ago, I learned to like it that way. No surprises, no drama, just my routine and my job as a data analyst. So when someone is banging on my door before the sun comes up, every alarm in my body starts going off. I grab my phone from the nightstand and hold it tight as I walk toward the door. The knocking comes again, harder this time. "I'm coming," I call out, my voice scratchy from sleep. I'm wearing an old gray t-shirt and sweatpants. My hair is sticking up everywhere. Through the tiny peephole, I see a shape in the hallway, but the lighting is terrible. Our building manager has been promising to fix the lights on this floor for 6 months. "Who is it?" I ask through the door. My hand hovers over the lock, but I don't open it yet. This neighborhood isn't dangerous, but it isn't exactly safe either. Strange visitors at 5 o'clock in the morning usually mean trouble. There's a long pause. Then I hear a voice I know, but it sounds totally different. Shaky and weak and barely holding together. It's Victoria. My brain just stops. Victoria as in Victoria Brennan. As in the CEO of the entire tech company where I work. The woman who runs meetings with 200 employees. The woman whose name is on all the company emails. That Victoria is standing outside my apartment at 5 o'clock in the morning. I unlock the door fast and pull it open. What I see makes me forget everything else. The woman standing in my hallway looks nothing like the powerful boss I see at work. Her blonde hair is falling out of a messy ponytail. Dark streaks of makeup run down her face. Her eyes are red and puffy, but it's the look on her face that really gets me. Those sharp green eyes that can spot a problem in any report. Those eyes that make people nervous when she walks into a room. Right now they look empty, like she's been crying for hours. "Victoria," I say, too shocked to call her Miss Brennan like I do at the office. "What happened? Are you okay?" She doesn't answer right away. She just stares at me, and I realize she's looking at my messy hair and my wrinkled t-shirt. Her eyes move past me into my apartment, looking at my small living room, my second-hand couch, the stack of books on my coffee table. When she finally speaks, her voice is so quiet I barely hear it. "Can I come in?" Every smart part of my brain starts screaming. This is my boss, my CEO, a woman so far above me at the company that we barely ever talk except for quick nods in the hallway. Letting her into my home at 5 o'clock in the morning is crazy. What if someone sees her? What if this ruins my job? What if this is some kind of test? But when I look at her face, at the pain in her eyes, I can't say no. Something inside me just can't turn her away. I step back and open the door wider. "Of course," I say quietly. "Come in." Victoria walks past me and I smell expensive perfume mixed with something else. Wine maybe. She moves into my living room with small, careful steps. So different from how she walks through the office with confidence. She stops in the middle of my small space and looks around. My furniture is all from thrift stores, but it's clean. I have some photos on the walls. A basket of laundry sits on the couch because I fell asleep before putting it away last night. I close the door softly and follow her. I'm suddenly very aware of how tiny my apartment must look to someone who probably lives in one of those fancy high-rise buildings downtown. "I'm sorry," Victoria says suddenly, turning to face me. "I shouldn't be here. I don't know what I was thinking. This is completely wrong. I should go." She takes a step toward the door, but I move into her path without thinking. "Victoria, wait." I keep my voice gentle, the same way I used to talk to my ex-girlfriend Emma when she would come home upset. "You came here for a reason. Whatever it is, you don't have to leave. Just talk to me." She stares at me for a long moment. I think she might run out anyway. Then something in her face changes. Her shoulders drop. She lets out a long breath. "I had a date tonight," she says, and then she laughs. But it's not a happy sound. It's bitter and broken. God, that sounds so stupid when I say it out loud. I'm 41 years old and I'm crying about a bad date like I'm 16. Sit down, I say, pointing to the couch. Please, let me make some coffee. To my surprise, she listens. Victoria Brennan, who gives orders to 300 employees, who makes decisions about millions of dollars, sits down on my cheap couch like I asked her to. She sits on the edge, her back straight, like she can't let go of being in control even now. I walk into my tiny kitchen, glad to have something to do with my hands. Through the doorway, I can see her sitting there with her head down. My coffee maker is old and loud, but the familiar sound is comforting. I bought it at a thrift store 3 years ago right after Emma left. She said I had no drive, that I was happy being average while she wanted more. 3 years later, I still use the same coffee maker and live in the same small apartment. Maybe she was right about me. How do you take your coffee? I call out. Black with 1 sugar, Victoria answers. Her voice sounds a little steadier now. I bring 2 mugs back to the living room and hand her one. Then I sit down in the chair across from the couch. Not too close, not pushing anything, just there if she needs to talk. Victoria wraps both hands around the mug like she's cold. Even though it's a warm night, she takes a sip and closes her eyes. This is good coffee, she says quietly. Just grocery store brand, I reply. Nothing special. She opens her eyes and really looks at me. I feel something shift in the air between us. His name was Marcus Chun, Victoria says suddenly. Her voice cuts through the quiet apartment. He's a venture capitalist. Big office downtown. Drives a Tesla. We met at a networking event 3 weeks ago, right after my divorce papers were finalized. I stay quiet. Sometimes people just need someone to listen. We went to this steakhouse in Belltown, the kind where you need to book a table 2 months early. He picked it because he wanted to impress me, I think. She takes another drink of coffee. Her hands are still shaking a little. He spent 2 hours talking about himself, his investment portfolio, his connections with tech startups, his opinions on which companies are going to be successful. Every time I tried to add something to the conversation, he would nod and smile. Then he'd just keep talking like I wasn't even there. I can picture it perfectly. Some guy in an expensive suit, thinking he's being charming while completely ignoring the woman across from him. Then during dessert, he leaned in real close. Victoria's voice gets quieter. He said, Victoria, I really respect ambitious women. It's attractive, honestly. But men still need to feel important, you know what I mean? I told him I didn't know what he meant. So he explained that in any relationship we might have, maybe he could handle the big decisions and I could handle the smaller stuff. You know, so I wouldn't stress about important things so much. My jaw tightens. He actually said that? Word for word, she says. There's no smile on her face now. And you know what I did? I didn't throw my drink at him. I didn't make a scene. I very calmly put down my fork, told him the evening was over, paid for my own meal and walked out. Very professional, very controlled, just like always. Good for you, I say, and I mean it. Is it though? Victoria's eyes start filling with tears again, because I sat in my car outside that restaurant for almost an hour, and all I could think was that Marcus is the 3rd man in 2 weeks who's made me feel like I'm too much, too successful, too opinionated, too independent, too everything. Her voice cracks. My ex-husband said the same things, that I cared more about the company than about our marriage, that I was married to my work, not to him. And maybe he was right. Maybe I have built this whole career and lost everything that actually matters. That's not true, I say firmly. How would you know? The words come out sharp. She looks away fast.
I'm sorry.
I shouldn't have snapped at you. It's okay, I tell her. You're upset. I get it. I lean forward in my chair. But for what it's worth, anyone who makes you feel like you're too much is really just saying you're more than they can handle. That's their problem, not yours. Victoria looks back at me and I see surprise flash across her face. How do you do that? She asks quietly. Do what? Say exactly the right thing. You've been doing it since I got here. No judgment. No questions about why I'm here. Just calm and steady. Like this is totally normal. I shrug, feeling uncomfortable. I don't know. I just try to treat people like people. Not like job titles or whatever. Just people who are doing their best and sometimes having a rough day. Tell me about you, Victoria says, sitting up straighter. I know you work in data analysis. I know you've been at the company for 3 years. But I don't know anything about you as a person. Tell me something real. It feels like she's trying to change the subject, to move away from her own pain. But I also think she really wants to know. What do you want to know? Ask. Everything. Anything. Start with why you're here. Why you're living alone in this apartment working in data analysis when you have a computer science degree from a top school. I'm surprised she knows that. You looked at my file? I look at everyone's file, she admits. But yours stayed in my head. You had so much potential on paper. Then you just stopped climbing. Why? I take a deep breath. This isn't easy to talk about. I was dating someone 3 years ago. Her name was Emma. We met in college and stayed together after we graduated. I was working at a tech startup. Crazy hours, but good money and a chance to move up fast. Emma loved it at first. She liked telling people her boyfriend was going to be successful. I pause, feeling the old hurt come back. It's not as sharp now, but it's still there. But the job was killing me. I was working 80 hours every week. Never home. Stressed all the time. My health was getting bad. So I quit and took the job at your company. Regular hours. Decent pay. Actual time to have a life. I thought Emma would understand. She didn't, Victoria says softly. She gave me back the key to her apartment 2 weeks later. Said she couldn't be with someone who had no ambition. Someone who was happy being average. She wanted someone who wanted more out of life. I smile, but it's sad. The funny thing is, I did want more. Just not the same more she wanted. I wanted time to breathe. Time to have hobbies. Time to figure out who I was when I wasn't exhausted and burned out. That's not lack of ambition, Victoria says. That's knowing yourself. That's understanding what actually matters to you. Maybe, I say. Or maybe she was right and I'm just making excuses for giving up. I look down at my coffee. Either way, I've been here since then. Same apartment. Same job. Same routine. It's not exciting, but it's mine and I can actually live it. We sit in silence for a minute. Both of us lost in our own thoughts. The sky outside is starting to get a little lighter. Then Victoria speaks again. And her voice is so quiet I almost miss it. That's why I came here tonight. Well, one of the reasons. My heart starts beating faster. What do you mean? She sets her coffee mug down on my table with careful movements. Like she's buying time. I didn't just drive around after that terrible date. I went home first. To my penthouse with its expensive furniture and its view of the city and its perfect everything. And I stood there in the dark and I couldn't remember the last time I felt happy. Really happy. Not just satisfied after closing a deal or seeing good numbers. Actually happy. Victoria, let me finish. Please. She looks at me with those intense eyes. I started thinking about work. About the people there. And I realized something. You're the only person in that entire building who treats me like I'm human. Everyone else sees the CEO. They see power and someone who can fire them. But you hold elevator doors for me. You say good morning and you actually mean it. Last month when I was working late, you stopped and asked if I was okay. Do you remember that? I do remember. It was a Thursday and I was heading home. But I saw her through the glass walls of her office. She was alone at her desk and she looked exhausted. I couldn't just walk past. I remember, I say. Nobody else asked, she says. Nobody else even noticed. Her voice breaks slightly. And I went home that night and thought about you. About how you probably had plans with friends or hobbies or whatever normal people do when they're not working. And I was jealous. I was jealous of someone making half what I make because you seem to have something I lost somewhere along the way. My mouth goes dry. What are you saying? Victoria stands up suddenly and I stand too. Not sure what's happening. We're only a few feet apart now. close enough that I can see the fine lines at the corners of her eyes, the vulnerability written all over her face. I'm saying I looked up your address in the employee database, which sounds really creepy now that I'm saying it out loud. But I needed to see it. A life that made sense. A life where someone chose things that actually mattered instead of just chasing success. I'm not sure my life is the best example, I say carefully. You're the only person at that company who sees me as a person, not a position, Victoria continues. The words are coming faster now, like water breaking through a dam. Everyone else is scared of me or wants something from me or just sees the title. But you've always just been kind. And after tonight, after that awful date and sitting in my empty apartment, I realized you were the only person I wanted to talk to. The only person who might understand what I'm feeling. I don't know what to say. This is my boss standing in my living room at 5:30 in the morning, telling me things that feel too big and too honest and too dangerous. But I also can't ignore the way my heart is pounding. The way something inside me woke up the moment I opened that door and saw her standing there. I say slowly, choosing each word carefully, that you've had a really hard night, and you're questioning a lot of things right now. I get that, I really do. But in the morning I'll still feel this way, she interrupts. I know you don't believe me. Why would you? But I'm not confused. I'm clearer right now than I've been in years. She reaches out slowly, giving me time to move away. Her hand touches my chest, right over my heart. Her palm is warm through my thin t-shirt. I can feel my heart hammering against her touch. I can feel your heart racing, she whispers. So maybe I'm not the only one feeling something here. She's right. I do feel it. This pull between us that doesn't make any sense, but feels real anyway. Standing here in my small living room with the sky getting lighter outside, everything feels different, possible, terrifying. I feel something too, I admit. My voice barely works. But I'm scared, Victoria. You're my CEO. If this goes wrong, I don't just lose someone I care about. I lose my job, my income, everything I built to feel safe after Emma left. I can't afford to be reckless. Her face falls, but she nods slowly. So what do we do? Because I can't pretend I don't feel this. We're careful, I say. We don't figure this out at 5 in the morning when you're hurting and I'm half asleep and we're both too messed up to think straight. We take time. We're smart about it. She closes her eyes and a tear rolls down her cheek. I came here hoping you'd tell me I was crazy. That would have been easier. I know. I reach for her hand without thinking. But I've never been good at easy. We sit like that for a while, hands held together, this fragile new thing between us barely formed but already feeling impossible to ignore. Then she takes a shaky breath and stands up. I should go before I say anything else I can't take back. I walk her to the door. She slips those expensive heels back on. She looks taller now, more put together, but still fragile in a way that makes my chest hurt. On Monday at the office, we'll be professional, I tell her. I don't want that, she says. The words come out fierce. I don't want to pretend this didn't happen. Then we won't, I say simply. But we also can't figure out what it means in a hallway or meeting room, so we take our time. We're careful. We think about what we're doing before we do it. She searches my face, then nods. Okay, careful. I can do careful. I watch until the elevator doors close. Then I lean against my door, heart still racing. The apartment feels different now. Her coffee mug still sits on my table. The faint smell of her perfume hangs in the air. Monday morning comes with typical gray rain. I get to work 15 minutes early like always. I boot up my computer and try to focus on spreadsheets, but my mind keeps going back to Victoria. Would she regret what she said? Would things be weird between us? 10:15, my calendar pings. All hands meeting. 10:30, main conference room. Everyone must attend. The room is packed when I get there. I find a spot near the back, happy to blend in with the crowd. At exactly 10:30, Victoria walks in. She looks perfect again. Navy blue suit, hair twisted up, makeup flawless. Nothing about her suggests a woman who showed up at someone's apartment crying about a bad date 3 days ago. But I see things others don't. The faint shadows under her eyes that makeup can't quite hide. The way her hands grip the stand a little too tight. The tiny pause before she smiles at everyone. "Thank you all for coming," she begins. Her voice is clear and strong. "I'll keep this short. We've been approached by Cascade Equity with an acquisition offer." Whispers fill the room. Cascade Equity is huge. An acquisition would shift everything about how we work. Before anyone panics, Victoria continues, raising one hand. "No decisions have been made. The board and I are evaluating the offer carefully. But any deal would include protections for employees. Your jobs would be secure. Your benefits would stay the same or get better." She answers questions with practiced ease. She gives enough information to satisfy people without promising too much. I watch her work the room and feel something twist inside me. This is Victoria in her element. Confident, commanding, brilliant. And Saturday morning she stood in my living room and told me she was tired of being alone. When the meeting ends, I hang back. I'm not sure if I should catch her eye or just leave quietly. "Nathan Pierce." Her voice cuts through the chatter of people leaving. She's still at the front gathering notes, but her eyes lock on mine. "Could you stay for a moment? I have a question about the quarterly data projections." It sounds reasonable, professional, but I see the truth in her eyes. The room empties. The door clicks shut. Suddenly we're alone. Victoria doesn't move from behind the stand. I don't walk toward her. The space between us feels charged with electricity. "How are you?" she asks quietly. "I should be asking you that," I reply. "That was a big announcement." "I'm busy, but that's not why I asked you to stay." She pauses. "I meant what I said Saturday morning. I know you need time. I know this is complicated. But pretending nothing happened isn't going to work for me." "What do you want me to say, Victoria?" "I want you to tell me if I'm alone in this." Her voice cracks slightly. "I want to know if you felt even a fraction of what I felt when you held my hand. Because if I'm making this up, if this is all one-sided, I need to know so I can move on. This is the moment, the crossroads. I could lie, be safe, tell her Saturday morning was a mistake, that I was confused. But I've never been good at lying to people who matter. "You're not alone," I say quietly. "I felt it too." Her breath catches. "Then why are we standing on opposite sides of this room?" "Because I'm terrified. Because you just announced a possible acquisition and your life's about to get more complicated. And mine is about making sure I can pay rent and keep my head down. We exist in completely different worlds. So we build a bridge," she says simply. "People do it all the time." I want to believe her, but I learned the hard way that wanting something isn't enough. "I need to think," I say finally. "This isn't a decision I can make standing in a conference room on a Monday morning." Pain flickers across her face, but she nods. "Okay, think. Take all the time you need." She moves toward the door, but my voice stops her. "Victoria." She turns back. For what it's worth, I wish I was braver. Understanding softens her expression. "I'm not Emma, Nathan. I'm not going to walk away because you're not ambitious enough or wealthy enough or anything enough. I see you, the real you, and that's exactly who I want." After she leaves, I stand alone in that empty conference room for 5 full minutes trying to catch my breath. That evening, I can't stop thinking about her question. Why were we standing on opposite sides of the room? Fear, obviously. But was fear a good enough reason to walk away from something that felt this right? My phone buzzes. A text from an unknown number. "It's Victoria. I got your number from HR. I know that's probably wrong, but I've stopped caring about wrong where you're concerned. Can we talk? Not at the office. Somewhere neutral. Please." I stare at the screen for a full minute. I should say no. I should keep boundaries. My fingers type before my brain can stop them. "When?" The response comes within seconds. "Friday night, 7. There's a coffee shop on Pine Street called Brew Haven. Do you know it?" "I do. It's quiet, tucked away, the kind of place where you could have a real conversation." "I'll be there. Thank you, Nathan. Friday takes forever to arrive. I check the clock every 10 minutes, watching hours crawl by like wounded animals. At 6:45, I pull up outside Brew Haven. Through the window, I can see Victoria already there, sitting at a corner table with 2 cups in front of her. She beat me here. Of course she did. I take a deep breath and walk inside. She looks up as I approach, and the raw hope on her face stops me in my tracks. This isn't the CEO. This is just a woman, scared and hoping and trying not to show either. "Hi," she says softly. I slide into the chair across from her. "You got me coffee." I remembered. Black with 1 sugar. She pushes the cup toward me. I figured if we're going to have this conversation, we should at least have caffeine. I take a sip. It's perfect. For a moment, neither of us speaks. The coffee shop hums with quiet conversation around us. Normal sounds of normal life happening while I feel like I'm standing on the edge of a cliff. "I've been thinking about what you said," she begins, "about needing to be careful. And you're right. You're completely right to be cautious." My heart sinks. This is it. She's going to be reasonable. We're going to acknowledge this is impossible and go back to being boss and employee and nothing more. "But I've also been thinking," she continues, "about all the ways I've played it safe in my life. I built a company by taking risks with business. But in my personal life, I've been a coward. I chose work over my marriage every single time because work was safer. Work made sense. Work wouldn't leave me." "Victoria, let me finish, please." She wraps both hands around her coffee cup. "I'm 41 years old. My divorce was finalized 6 weeks ago. In those 6 weeks, do you know how many real dates I've been on? 3. 3 dates, and every single one was with someone who wanted the idea of me but not the reality. Someone who wanted the successful CEO they could show off but couldn't handle the actual person underneath. I stay quiet, letting her speak. "And then you opened your door at 5 in the morning," she says, her voice breaking slightly. "And you didn't judge me. You didn't try to fix me. You just saw me, the real me, the one who's lonely and scared and tired of pretending she has it all figured out." "That's because I don't have it figured out either," I admit. "I'm barely holding things together most days." "You're doing better than you think." She leans forward. "Nathan, I've watched you. I know that sounds weird, but I don't mean it like that. I mean, I've noticed things. The way you always make time to talk to people in the break room even when you're clearly rushing. The way you volunteer to help with company events even though it's not your job. The way you're kind without expecting anything back. That's real. That's knowing what matters and actually living it." She pauses. "I respect you. I respected you before I liked you. And I think that's why this feels different. Why I'm willing to risk looking foolish." My chest feels tight. "You're not looking foolish. Then what am I doing? Because I asked you here to tell you that I can't stop thinking about you. And that scares me. And I don't know what to do with it." The honesty in her words cuts through every defense I built. I could lie. I could deflect. Or I could match her bravery with my own. "I can't stop thinking about you either," I say quietly. "It's been driving me crazy. I'll be working on a data report and suddenly I'm remembering something you said. Or I'll see you in the hallway and my whole day gets better. And that scares me because I've already had one person walk away when I wasn't enough for them." "I'm not her," Victoria says firmly. "Emma left because she wanted something you couldn't give her. Some fantasy version of success. But I've had that version of success and it's empty. What I want is something real. Someone real. So what do we do?" "Ask. We try." She reaches across the table and takes my hand. "We take it slow like you said. We're careful. But we try. Because I think what we could have is worth the risk." I look at our joined hands, at her face full of hope and fear, and I make my decision. "Okay," I say. "Let's try." Her smile is like sunrise breaking through clouds. "Really? Really? But we set boundaries. We're careful at work. We don't rush this. And if at any point it's not working, we're honest about it." "I can do that." She squeezes my hand. "When can I see you again?" "Tomorrow." The word comes out before I can think about it. "We could do something normal. Get dinner maybe. Like actual people on an actual date. I'd love that. We talk for another hour, trading questions and answers, learning the small details that don't fit on work files. She tells me she's an only child who always wanted siblings. I tell her about my sister in Portland who I barely talk to anymore. She admits she's never been hiking. I confess I taught myself to cook from online videos. When we finally leave, I walk her to her car. Every instinct screams to kiss her goodbye, to do something to acknowledge the shift between us. But we agreed to go slowly, and slow means holding back. Good night, Victoria. Good night, Nathan. I make it to my car before I look back. She's still standing there, watching me. Her expression so full of hope it makes my breath catch. Saturday night, I pick her up at 7. She gave me her address, and when I pull up to the building, I try not to let my jaw drop. The lobby alone probably costs more than I make in a year. But when she comes down, she's wearing jeans and a simple sweater, her hair loose, looking nothing like a CEO and everything like someone I could fall completely for. We go to a small Thai place I know. Nothing fancy, just good food and quiet atmosphere. She orders noodles and asks me about my life before the company, before my breakup with Emma. I tell her about growing up in a small suburb, about my dad who worked in construction and my mom who ran a bookstore, about how I moved to the city thinking I'd conquer the world, only to discover I was happier with a steady job and a simple life. There's nothing wrong with that, she says firmly. Society acts like ambition is the only thing that matters, but being content is just as valuable. Maybe more valuable. Tell that to my ex. I say, then wince. Sorry, I shouldn't bring her up. It's okay. She's part of your story. Victoria sets down her fork. Can I ask what happened? I take a breath. We met in college. Different majors, but we crossed paths freshman year and just clicked. She was studying marketing, always ambitious. I was doing computer science, planning to work in tech. For a while after graduation, it worked. I got a job at a startup, good money, chance to move up fast. Emma loved it at first. She liked telling people her boyfriend was going to be successful. I pause, gathering my thoughts. Then she started getting frustrated that I wasn't pushing for management. But the job was killing me. 80-hour weeks. Never home. Stressed constantly. So I quit and took the job at your company. Stable hours. Decent pay. Actual balance. I thought Emma would understand. She left, Victoria says softly. She gave me back my apartment key 2 weeks later. Told me I was wasting my potential. That I was settling for being average. The words still sting even now. And maybe she was right. Maybe I am settling. You're not settling, Victoria says fiercely. You're living honestly. You know what makes you happy and you're brave enough to choose it instead of chasing what other people think you should want. That's not settling. That's wisdom. Something in my chest loosens. How do you do that? Do what? Say exactly what I need to hear. She smiles. Maybe because I need to hear it too. The months that follow are careful and deliberate. We see each other outside of work. Coffee dates, dinners, walks through the city waterfront. At the office, we keep professional distance. Though I catch her eye across rooms and feel my heart skip. Nobody suspects anything. We're just boss and employee, nothing more. But away from work, we're becoming something I never expected. Victoria opens up about her marriage, about how she lost herself in building the company. I tell her more about Emma, about the fear of not being enough. We talk about everything, our childhoods, our dreams, our regrets. For months after that first coffee shop conversation, Victoria makes a decision that shocks everyone at work. She announces she's stepping down as CEO. The acquisition with Cascade Equity went through, and while she could have stayed in a leadership role, she chooses to leave entirely. I'm starting my own consulting business, she tells me over dinner the night before her announcement goes public. Helping small businesses with their strategy. It's something I've always wanted to do but never had the courage to try. That's amazing, I say, and I mean it. But are you sure? I'm sure. She reaches across the table and takes my hand. I've spent 20 years building someone else's definition of success. Now I want to build my own. And part of that is being able to have a real relationship with you without worrying about workplace issues or conflicts of interest. My heart stutters. Victoria. I want this, Nathan. I want us. And I'm tired of being careful. That night, for the first time, I kiss her. Standing outside my apartment building with the street lights casting shadows and the city humming around us, I finally let myself be brave. When I pull back, she's smiling, tears in her eyes. Took you long enough, she whispers. I wanted to get it right. It was perfect.